Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is the
Earlene and Steve show.
That is absolutely right. We're super glad to have you back. Want to say shout out to all of our sponsors that are in the audience because we've got Ray's Ford. If you're going to go see Ray at Ray's Ford, you definitely want to talk to Keith. Keith Barton. He is the one who actually just bought a Bronco. You know, I've been a Jeep guy for a long time, but the Bronco is like a cross between me having a Jeep and my old Yukon that Eddie drives around in.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's super comfortable.
He loves it. I feel like I'm driving a tank because I'm too short for it.
Oh, come on.
I am. I mean, and he always says, well, just lift the seat. You can just pull the seat up. And I do feel a little bit more confident when I can at least see over the hood of the vehicle.
Well, I'm just saying, it drives like a champ.
It does.
It's very comfortable. Yes. Well, you probably do better in the Bronco. Maybe you should get rid of the Yukon, get a Bronco like I did.
No.
Well, if you are in the car shopping mode, you should go see Keith over at Ray's Ford. They have a great lineup of cars, and they have Jeeps, too. So,
yeah, they do.
Ford, Chrysler. It reminds me every time I see the movie with Kevin Costner, The Postman, and the one dude's name is Ford, Chrysler, Jeep, or whatever his name was. That was the name of a person, you know. And but also we have Redmond. You want to talk about him and the other two sponsors, Earlene?
Well, I'll talk to you a little bit about Joe. I don't know a whole lot about the landscaping business, but I do know that he has an impeccable reputation. He does a lot of work in and around Meade County, and he seems to be very successful. And I have the feeling he can do anything that you can imagine that you need done. So I would give Joe a call.
Absolutely. You know, Joe actually helped me do a basement room in my house when we got the kids.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had, he saw it through, had me a good laborer, and we got the work done in record time, and I was able to move people around in the house and make sure we had space for the basement because, you know, I got my mother-in-law and stuff. But, yeah, does real good work. He's pretty good about follow-up, too. So, but I know that...
He's approachable. He's definitely approachable.
Yeah, those folks in that line of work, though, they stay busy once they start getting booked up. It's usually the customers, I want it done next week, and then they're going to have a problem.
Well, and the other thing is that Joe's a retired veteran.
Yes, he is.
And so he
veteran-owned business. So our third and final sponsor for the podcast for the next couple of months is
the Lakeside Bar and Grill over at Doe Valley. Terry Hubry just recently took over a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And she has completely redone the entire place. The atmosphere is different. The food is different. The menu is different. She brought a crew with her from where she worked at before.
Yeah. And food's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good. It's good Southern cooking with like kind of an upbeat flair to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been at a couple of parties there, too, that have actually turned out well. You know, I'm sitting here, we're talking this whole time, and I forgot to cue over our video back and forth, so everybody heard us. If you're tuning in to us on Facebook, we're just now getting the show started. We just went through our sponsorship lineup, and it's been an interesting week.
I'd say 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. We had our first, full working week in the new office.
Yep.
If you don't know, we moved from 138 Broadway Street. We are now at 1141 High Street, which is the old Pioneer Building, or AKA the old Meade County RECC building. It was built after the tornado in 1974, and it's been here ever since. So we're like one of the first offices you come in the building. The parking, I think, is much better.
Yeah.
A lot more street entry and exit friendly, I think.
Well, and it's kind of fun having business neighbors. You know, It's great fun. You go down the hallway, and we're getting to recognize some faces.
Sure.
And it's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we're putting on a spread tomorrow, too.
Yeah. We're going to have a little Thanksgiving lunch tomorrow, invite our work neighbors to come by and see us. We're unpacked enough that we can receive guests.
Yeah. I'm still gonna get through the clutter. Hopefully in December, by the time we break into the new year, it's gonna be a comfortable office space. How many of you out there are doing an office party tomorrow before the holiday? Hit us up in the chat while we're talking. You know what I mean? We'd love to hear the feedback or see what's going on in your office while we get ready to do all the work in ours. You know.
And speaking of feedback,
go ahead.
You know, I'm always telling people, hey, I want to hear back from you, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. I want to hear back from you. I want to hear what
Right.
you like. I want to hear what you don't like. I don't necessarily want to get yelled at or banged on or anything like that. But I
Dude.
do want to know what people are seeing, what they're reading, what their thoughts are. I'm appreciative when people do that. So this week, we got a letter in the mail, and it was Dear Mrs. Bohannon, which is me.
Yeah.
And the fellow's name, he signed it with respect, Al. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. But anyway, he said, my critique is not intended to be mean, but to help, yada, yada, yada.
I thought it was interesting because I read that, right, and sent it on to you. I thought it was interesting because today it seems like if somebody wants to provide criticism, right, his response in there was, and if you're not mad at me by now,
mention me on the air.
But I mean, he said, if you're not mad at me, but that means it implies that it's hard for anyone to provide criticism. It's easy to go do a Google review and just blast somebody because it's not going to get deleted.
Exactly.
It's not going to get deleted.
That's true. That is very true.
And it sucks because as a business owner, it's like, that person didn't even tell you the whole story. But here's a guy, he takes the time, and it's a letter.
He mailed it.
Yeah, he mailed it.
Well, he mailed one to you, and he mailed another one here.
Oh, okay.
The one I have came here to our office.
Very cool. Okay.
And so, anyway, but I was never mad. Like, I was never upset.
We shouldn't be if we're in this business.
Exactly. His tone was very respectful.
Yeah.
And I shared it with the writers. So, we have a staff of 16 writers, which I think might be the most writers that we've had.
Well, I told Nancy the other day I got to clean that up, and because we have some that they go back to school, or we have some that life changes.
Well, all 16 of these are current writers.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. But we actually have more that's been on the writing staff this entire year than probably has been in a while.
Yeah, long time.
And we're still growing a writing staff. So
well, but here's what I want to explain. So Mr. Al, he pointed out some things. It was like he was suggesting font changes, and he was talking about headlines and different things like that. And everything he said made a valid point.
Yeah.
But so I would never offer an excuse. Like, I would never say, well, we do this because of this. But I do think it's okay to offer reasons why.
Okay.
When my children were growing up, I'd tell them, don't give me an excuse for your behavior, but tell me why. Why did you feel, the need to do this? So here's my why. Out of our 16 writers, 8 of them are adults who work a full-time job somewhere else. 3 of them are in high school. And we have...
Well, she's not 14 anymore. We can't use the 14. She's a 15-year-old now.
Right. We've got one
with parental permission and
Parents are very involved. We have a 15-year-old and 2 17-year-olds that write for us. We have a retired judge that writes for us.
Yeah,
and
I love talking to him every day.
I do too. And then there's only 4 writers on staff that they're either retired and they don't have another job, and that this is their primary job. And we've gotten some feedback before on press releases and obituaries and public records, and I don't think people know that we cannot edit those. When I asked Sheriff Wimpy about it, he said, "Oh no, because this is an accident report. This becomes a legal document. So whatever the person working, the accident or whatever writes, we have to leave it we can't go and change it, clean it up, or anything, because they get copies of this to use. And so, we understand that. We have, we probably published 30 stories in this week's paper.
Wow.
And I would guess there was probably between 15 and 18,000 words in those. And I read every single word in the stories. And they all come in, and I read them. I put them through a couple of processes to try to find, the mistakes and things like that. But sometimes something will just miss. It just will. It'll just get out of the way or whatever. But I'm really the only person on staff that reads every single word that comes in. And that doesn't include, like when I said how many words I've read in those 30 stories. That didn't include the cut lines.
I know.
You know, cut lines are the little 1 or 2 sentences that are under, and those make me a nervous wreck because
You don't want to misspell somebody's name.
I don't want to misspell somebody's name. I mean,
Or leave somebody out for that.
Well, I know I'm not going to leave anybody out. I know
That's why I put.
Yeah, if there's 5 people in the picture, I know I'm going to have 5 names. But here's the thing, and I'm going to use your son as an example. Just since I've been on staff here writing regularly, which was it's been about 14 months now, I've seen the name Landon spelled 4 different ways.
I bet you have.
Landon, Landan, Landyn for a girl, Landen. And so I'm always a little nervous. Like, did we get the right Landon? Is this spelled right? And that's just an example.
Yep.
There's tons of names that have lots of different meanings. But I guess my point here is this. We are so sincere. There's not a single person on this staff that does not want to do well. We do not have a single person that you could be considered as lazy or who has become compliant or whatever. Everybody is sincere.
Right.
We all do our very best to put out excellent work. We trade ideas. We bounce ideas off of each other. I'm in communication with the writers several times a week. We have a face-to-face.
Yeah.
You know, where I can talk to them and get their ideas and their feedbacks. So, I mean, in our heart of hearts, we want to put out a true community newspaper, like something where we want to talk about all the kids that are in all levels of school. We want to talk about the kids who are going, you know, to ECTC or other universities that are making the dean's list. We put that in this week's paper. You know, we of course, because of our location and because of our history, most of our paper will be about Brandenburg and Meade County, you know, current happenings or current events.
Sure.
But we want to put in some Fort Knox stuff.
Yeah.
We want to put in some.
Well,
North Hardin High School.
they're very excited. If you didn't know this, the 3rd Thursday of every month, we actually get the deputy Jim Bradford comes out here and gives us an update on one of our podcast series.
He was just here.
Yeah, he was, and you know, there's 200 new jobs coming to Fort Knox, and a lot of those folks choose to live in.
They're going to live in Meade County.
Yeah, well, that's what we hope, right?
Well, I don't think all 200 of them.
No, but we would like
some of them.
I know 100 new homes built in Meade County would be huge.
Oh yeah.
You know.
So, and then you know, a lot of people have asked us, why are you putting in a little bit about North Hardin High School? Well, they don't have anybody that brags on them. They really don't.
No.
They're like they just don't get as much attention as the rest of Hardin County. I don't think they're being ignored on purpose. It's just that in their location. So you know, and we're writing about West Point and Muldrow because they're right there. We have it's just anything that goes from Fort Knox all the way down to us and over towards Corden. Corden does have a good little newspaper, but we still want to cover that because we're so close to that area.
Yeah.
So we just put in a little bit of stuff from Corden, you know, things for you guys to do. We don't want to bombard the paper with legislation or meetings that are city and
I think
county.
we're getting to that about maybe once a month, maybe twice, every other week sometimes.
Yeah.
It just depends on if especially if there's something significant that's impacting the community.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I want to put in like 2 or 3 times a month. And this issue, we had something important to share about our state representative. We had something to share with Rand Paul. We had something that we needed to share about, who was the other one I put in? I can't remember. Oh, Fort Knox.
Fort Knox.
Yeah, what they were doing. So, you know, we want to do that. Most important, I want to put in about the kids, their families, the sports. I want to put in the people who make a difference in our communities. And so that's what we're looking for. And I do want you guys to reach out to us. I realize that we are shaking the dust off of a period of time that the newspaper went through.
Well, we're still building trust, right?
Sure. When it was another name and had another owner, you know, we're going to accept that responsibility. We're going to accept the responsibility that we have to earn your trust.
You know, that's a great point you say that because I actually spoke with Rena today, and owning the paper is not just like a business transaction. It's honestly a responsibility.
Yeah,
especially because it's locally owned. It's not like it got bought up by some conglomerate. And trust me, I don't have a big wallet.
Right.
But it costs money to employ people and do all the kinds of things. But trying to bring back a community paper, which is what happened to a lot of communities across our state, our Commonwealth. They get bought up by these bigger entities, and they just plug and play the same stories across multiple locations,
Right.
Because they can,
Right.
and it just becomes. And I'm not critiquing that.
No,
I mean,
not
it's
at all,
smart
not at all.
business, but Meade County is like I want to protect and keep the. How would you? We moved here for a reason. It's a great place to raise a family. You can go to the park and your kids can run, and you can sit down on the bench and safely know that nobody's going to,
Right.
bring harm like you would see in other places. I think that's what keeps this place special.
Well, even like where I live, kids are outside all the time. They're running around all the time. In the little pocket of Doe Valley that Eddie and I live in, we
Right.
know everybody's names. We know their pets. We know their
Yep.
kids. And nobody gets upset if we're like, hey, get out in the middle of the road, or something like that. But I think that's pretty prevalent for
Yeah.
most of Meade County.
Yeah.
We have an integrity here that has been lost in other areas. And we're challenged to maintain that as we grow. We want to
Right.
grow because we want the commerce. We want to bring those things to our county, but we also have to be able to provide for it and take care of it. I'm in Meade County Leadership, which is a program that's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. And so today we had our class. We have a class once a month.
Wow.
And we visited with the 911 operators. We got to talk to them. We went over to EMS. We went to City Hall. We went over to the fire department. And all four of them, their directors that met with us said, we're so lucky here to have the things we have.
Yeah.
They were talking about, we just have amazing technology. We have amazing safety things
Right.
in place. Our school system is phenomenal.
Leading the way in security measures.
Yeah.
Other people are emulating that across the
Right.
state.
But one thing that I want to do, I want to keep the small town newspaper. Small newspapers like ours that are self-published. It's printed and brought back. We have writers running around talking to our friends and neighbors here. It's a dying breed. It is.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I had a conversation today. The Association of United States Army, I went to D.C. recently for the National Convention. And, of course, today I hosted as the chapter president a big luncheon. We had community leaders, Senator Matt Deneen, House Representative Nancy Tate was there. There was a lot of representation from the local community. Abound Credit Union is formerly Fort Knox Credit Union.
Right.
Is probably one of the oldest associations.
And I talked about that a little bit
yeah.
in this week's issue with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
luncheon.
and as well as Carl Swope from the Swope dealerships. They're actually the oldest corporate sponsors of AUSA in the entire national convention. But today it was just super interesting having all of those folks there and then talking about what we're doing from a local community aspect. But when they were talking to me, they said one of the military leaders said that they're the people, the youthfulness of our Army that's coming in is now asking for a lot of these old catalogs that we used to do back in the day. They want them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what used to be old is coming back. And there's, and I ran into a sergeant major this summer and they said, the cadets that were coming through training, they want it printed.
Yeah.
They don't want it in a digital format.
Right.
Because if my phone breaks, I'm not going to have it. I want it on paper so I can write on it and take notes. And
Well, there's value. There's value to the written word. There's value to holding something in your hand. You can tangibly hold the messenger in your hand.
That's right.
You can get a pair of scissors and cut out that picture of your grandchild or your
Add it
child.
to a picture book.
Yeah, stick it on the refrigerator and look at it every day, or send it off.
Scrapbooking is still a thing.
I know. But basically that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell Al thank you, and I hope I hear back from Al. I don't know if Al is a I say he, but it could be Alexander, and so I'm not sure, but I definitely hope that we hear back from this person, and we are very appreciative. But this is what it told me. This person's reading our paper. I mean, they put enough detail.
Well, he even said he watches the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So, interesting. Did you know that our average viewership for the podcast is about 5,000.
Yeah.
But we hit 6,000 with last week's.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So people, even if it's 5 minutes that they tune in, they're tuning in to hear what we have to say.
That's right.
Which is, again, goes back to that responsibility. And I'm glad you brought Al back in and circled it back. For somebody to take the time to put something in writing and on paper, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're, even this year, everybody's going to get ready to do Christmas cards and thank you cards and happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't do that, I would tell you, sit down, go get the $12 box at the dollar store or whatever of cards, thank you cards, Christmas cards, thank you cards. We'll talk about that in a second. But get your Christmas cards out this year.
Yeah.
And then start making a list.
It's my favorite part of Christmas.
Right.
It absolutely is. I always send them out the first week of December, and all during December, I love going to the mailbox and getting cards, and I hang them up.
Hell yeah.
I'm a big nerd about that.
We do, and having a big house too. We love doing them down the stairwell because it's in part of the living room.
Right,
but
exactly.
it's pretty neat. I think we lost that art of even taking the time to. It's great that you can say thank you or you send a digital note and you're fast, but when you take time to write it down on paper, you'd be surprised of the reaction that you get from the people that.
Yeah, they enjoy getting. Yeah.
And make time for it.
Make time. It's good. Set aside an afternoon. Have some Christmas movies going in the background, and just it doesn't take a lot.
That Buffalo Trace cream stuff is pretty good too to put in your drink while you're just writing them. Your cursive might get a little off at the end. Heck, it might even get better. You don't know.
You don't know. You might be more free with your thoughts.
There you go.
So
careful what you wish for.
I think that's funny.
Yeah. So, y'all did a great job. I want to say thank you for the hard work that went in this week because we were getting stuff in last minute.
Oh yeah, we were
guilty
here,
as charged.
We were here till 9:45 p.m. last night. Nancy and I stayed behind, and we finished up the paper. And
did y'all have any cream in your?
No.
Okay.
No, we did not. We did not. And that's another thing I don't think people know is that we print out a little copy of the paper. We call it the dummy. And we tape 3 big pages together so it's about the size
of what the paper
Yeah,
is.
and there's times that we have printed out the dummy and I've found something I thought, oh my gosh, how did I miss that?
I know, I just ordered paper again. You guys are killing me, Smalls. I'm teasing. No, it's a process. Trust me, folks. It's a process. I understand why we are a weekly paper and not a daily paper.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to find us a comic strip to put in there every once in a while.
I would too.
But one that describes our week every week. You know what I mean? It should be like a comic about you and me, and then or me and Nancy, because we all have like this triad relationship, and then the Jaden on the team too in here, and then the writers, and then the editor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean sometimes it's so funny. Even yesterday, for example, because we're all very strong. We're all very strong, but also I would say we're all very kind. We're kind but strong, and some of us are a little more hard-headed than others. And
that's good for you to notice that about yourself, Earlene.
I wasn't talking about me. I was not talking. But anyway, we were going back and forth. He's in his little cubicle. I'm in mine. Nancy's in hers, and we're all like, kind of like this. And Jaden's like, Jaden said, "Oh my God, if somebody walked in here right now, they would think they were coming into a sibling argument."
Oh my gosh.
And we just thought,
practically true.
I know it. So, but anyway. We just moved over here. There's a transition period.
What do you think of the new place?
I love it. I love the new place.
You look like you're working in your Zen mode. I think you like it more because you can actually interact with us and you're not stuck in an office.
Well, you know what I love is that little plastic deal you put on the floor, and I can just push my
zoom
chair
around.
out. I zoom my little chair around. And
I thought you'd like
blah, 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 and then I go back in. And we've got everybody has a little window where we can see each other. And so, but yes, we definitely like it here. It's like anything else. When you move your home to another house, it takes a month or so to get everything put exactly the way you want. And then the other thing is, when you move, like, you never realize how dusty something is until you're like, oh.
Or how much stuff we've collected and that we didn't need. Yeah.
Yes. And then,
simplify.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. When you move an office, we do that same thing.
I would have hoped the move would have went a little smoother, but it looks like we're getting everything worked out.
I think
and
so.
It is a process, and
I know. I know.
But,
It just takes a minute.
Well, and we had a good mover crew that came in, RPM Movers.
They were great.
They did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
You know, they put in the time and the hard work. I sure couldn't do all the heavy lifting again. Those days are over for me, but I was super glad to have them. Brian came personally, one of the owners, and helped us get the move done. Brian, shout out to you, big guy.
We wrote a story about him last week's paper.
Yeah, and I think they've got an ad running in this week's for the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Of course, a little bonus effort there for doing all that stuff and then going from there. So,
Yep, very good. Hey, is it okay if I talk a little bit about the calendar?
yeah, come on.
Days that are coming
Yeah,
up?
there's a lot of stuff
All
coming
right,
up.
So one of the things that was missing for many months before I came on as editor,
Mm-hmm.
and Stephen and I both felt like it was really important, is putting the community calendar out. And we will put any short little blurb about almost anything. So
As long as it's legitimate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, we have a writer that puts it together, but we all kind of contribute to it. Stephen will say, "Hey, I found this," or I'll say, "Hey, I found this," and occasionally people will call in, and we want to say, "You can send us a message and just say, hey, can you please put this on the community calendar?"
Yep.
So, like the one that's coming out tomorrow is for November 28th through December 4th. So it generally runs Thursday to Wednesday, but right away things are kicking off for Christmas. I mean, there is and I say this every week. I feel like I'm a broken record. There's so much to do. There is so much to do around here, and there's so much, good feel stuff. We're having a story coming out this week about the Golden Angels Ministry. They only accept financial donations, and they do that only because they give out just Kroger gift cards because you can use it for anything.
I'm all excited.
I'm so excited that you're excited. And so they get that. So anyway, their collection deadline is December 12th. There's going to be, on the calendar, it says there's going to be a Thanksgiving breakfast, blessings to the community in Vine Grove, at the City Hall in Vine Grove, Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning from 8 to 11. So I think that would be something fun to do. I kind of want to do this. It's all weekend. It's called A Merry Country Christmas Holiday Hayride, and it's at that Hazelwood Nature Reserve that's just beyond Corden. So if you go through Corden, just keep going, it's over on the right. The weekend, busy. We've got Shop Small Saturday. We've got Light Up Corden. We've got Santa's Workshop over at the venue. And there's going to be a holiday parade and tree lighting in West Point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
I just ran into the mayor like 2 weeks ago for there. He was at the RSBA.
For West Point?
Yeah, for West Point. He's very active in the Radcliffe Small Business Alliance.
Yeah.
And then we've seen him at the Meade County Chamber luncheon I actually saw him twice last week because we had the chamber luncheon. But he's really working hard to try to, hey, we're on the map too. You go through us. And there is a lot of historical value to West Point, and it's going to be in our tourism magazine in the spring. So we're excited to, I'm juggling here. I'm literally trying to figure things out so we can publish these things on time.
I know.
And working everything out so that we can.
Well, we're kind of stuck between this. It's like, well, this is what always happened.
Yeah.
So even though you came in and you purchased the newspaper, changed the name, so much of it did change. The community expects lots of it to remain the same.
Yeah.
And so we inherited this. And I say we because you and I both are very new to the newspaper business. And so we've inherited, and we're like, what? How do we do this? And we have to find our balance and our footing. And so I've been overwhelmed with how kind people have been.
Yeah.
Like they get it. They're like, oh yeah, we get it. You guys are still babies in this. We haven't even made it through our first year yet. And so
coming quick.
Yeah, like for example, the day after Thanksgiving is the Christmas by the River.
Black Friday.
Yeah. That's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Oh, Black Friday. Oh, I see. Yeah. It is Black Friday, but
you can finish your Black Friday by doing the Christmas light drive-through. They only do donations for that.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, you said that. I saw Mayor Pace today.
Good.
And I was asking him about the donation thing. And he said, last year was probably the lowest year of donations that we'd ever had.
I heard that when we talked.
Yeah, he said that it averaged to 69 cents per car that went through. And he said, that didn't even cover the electric bill to keep it lit up. And he said, it's not that we're not going to continue doing it. It's just that we need more help
Yeah,
to keep
yeah,
it going. They don't
yeah.
want to make any money off of it. They just want to maintain it. And so, we're
I think it would be good if we could get like different churches rotate man in the booth for collecting monies, and
that's a
they
good
get
idea.
a percentage of proceeds, and you pay a flat rate per carload. $5 to go through the Christmas tree lights, or for a carload. That's super cheap considering what they charge to go to underneath up in Louisville, Christmas Underground or whatever it's called. My niece just went this week.
Yeah,
Same day you were there.
Yeah, I went as well.
How were the lines for that?
Oh, it was fun. I mean, it was Friday night. Last Friday night we went. We were on a big tour bus because my sister had come from Texas to Kentucky on this huge luxury tour bus. And so I was invited to ride on it with them, which was nice because of all the windows and stuff. But we went right in. I mean,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, but it is so cold in there.
Oh,
Even
I know.
Inside
the average
vehicle.
temperature is like in the 60s.
Yes, and it was funny because they had the heat on in the bus, but all the windows started fogging up a little bit. But
I get that.
it kind of added to the magic.
Oh,
you know
okay.
how
So,
you
yeah, like a
when you
frosty
look at
window, yeah.
you know when you look at the Christmas tree and you squint your eyes just a little bit.
yeah.
It was a little like that. So
Okay.
and they play music and everything's lit up, lots of themes.
Very good.
I mean, it is pretty fun. But I'm telling you, what we have here is very nice.
I think so. I'm excited. We'll have we'll have a little sign down there. Maybe in the coming years, we'll like to get something bigger and lit up. But I'm absolutely all in on what we can do better next year.
Well,
you know what I
here's
mean?
the thing. I don't know that people know this. The city of Brandenburg stores all that.
Yep.
They keep. They take it. They put it up. They take it down. They keep the lights. If a light goes out, one of our city employees runs out there and fixes it.
Yep.
I mean, we can definitely.
Next year, I mean,
Donate a
yeah.
little bit
So, and it's good. Shannon got with all the businesses earlier in the summer. She was really on her game, and we were just able to contribute and keep it going and stuff. Next year I'd like to do something bigger, but you don't know what you don't know until you know what you know.
Well, our Stephen Spahn, he's one of our writers. He is meeting with Shannon. And she's going to go over all the details.
Very
like
good.
you said, she started working on it back in the summer. So he's going to find out what it takes to make the magic happen.
Yeah. There's a good article in there, too. It's going to be on the front page this week. You need to check it out because there's, you covered the little Santa's Village just across the river. We also have the Angel Ministries right here in Meade County. And I know they've called and asked us to do some coverage of some other organizations that are making donations and stuff like that. But Sheila, who runs that program, it used to be with the Pastoral Association, but now they have their own 501c3, so they've kind of taken it on. But Sheila's been doing this for well over 12 years. And last weekend, I got the privilege. We went live, just showing the law enforcement that was there for that audience that we have that keeps up with us. But, I mean, they Chief Hag gave me a call. Sure, I was there at 2 o'clock. They came in, the fire department, Meade County Fire Department, Ekron Fire Department had just came and gone by the time I got there, so they got in early. But all of the sheriff's department was there as well. You can read the full story in the paper. But what I wanted to highlight is this was their opportunity to bring in a ton of donations that came from our Dollar Generals in the county.
Right, they donated a ton.
And it's not like they just took random toys off the shelf. They actually fulfilled requests.
Right.
So you can sign up an Angel. If you're in a home that's struggling this year,
there's still time to
there's still time to sign up. We put the website in there, but you can look up Angel Ministries for Brandenburg online. You can find their site. You can make if you don't have an angel in your household that you need help with this year to make sure there's not only just toys under. It's not just a toy under the tree. It's also socks and shoes and a coat.
Right.
Or some clothing.
They give you a choice. So you can choose either clothes or toys or a mix of both. And they want your sizes. There's certain things that they don't want. But
and what they do is they put it all together in a bag. So
your kid gets a bag.
Your kid gets a bag. And, of course, you can take all these items, you wrap them, or if they're not already wrapped, and then you place them under your tree so that when the kid, when your child or the angel receives them, they're receiving them from you.
Yeah.
The mom or dad.
That's exactly right.
And you can leave your pride at the door. They will let you apply online, or you can do it in person. And there's several locations that you can actually go in person to actual to register a child. You can either go to the public library, Meade County Public Library. You could do. It says in-person registration assistance at Meade County Public Library Tuesday.
I remember the Cox's was on that list.
Cox's was on the list. I was trying to find it right here because it went away. Hold on a second. Angel adoption. Or you can even adopt an angel. But go to their website. It's at mcangelministry.com. They've got donate buttons and other things. They've even got a video on how to fill the registration process. They will ask you several questions about your income and all that other stuff. And they will also verify with an electric bill or a lease, whatever.
Just something you get in the mail that has
says
your current address on it.
That says you live in Meade County.
Yeah.
Those are the only stipulations. And then, we had a great conversation because Sheila said, if you're pretty much willing to ask for it, you probably need it.
Right. And then today, when I was talking to Chief Hag, he said, well, it used to be called Shop with a Cop.
Yeah.
He said, now we've changed it to Shop with a Hero.
Yes. So
because other people are involved
that's right.
it that are not just police officers.
And I just talked to him about that program too, which is a separate program. Shop with a Hero allows a special person to go to the store and actually shop and pick out some items. And similarly, I know I talked about this on last week's podcast because they're doing it in Radcliffe at the Walmart as well. So these are all great programs for this season. Look, the economy has been just difficult. I mean, I'm feeling it as a business person. It's just miserable, the cost of inflation. I feel it when I go to the grocery store. I know you feel it when you go to the grocery store. But these organizations are out there making a difference for our community and at least helping those who need it most to get across the finish line. So I'd encourage you to reach out to those. Shop with a Hero. You can get with the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, or Chief Hag at the Brandenburg City Police Department to find out more information. But all of this is available at your fingertips. All you have to do, if you feel it in your heart, please give. One last thing, Angel Ministry said they get several donors, and it's interesting because I did not know this. And just to give a shout out, but the Grim Reapers come this Saturday, and they do a huge donation. She said they're one of their largest donors.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Now, while you might hear negative things or this and that and the other about biker clubs, biker organizations, and stuff like that, it was, Sheila said it was imperative that I at least let everybody know that they are doing things for the community.
Yep.
They make a huge monetary donation, and they bring in a lot of toys to help fulfill the stuff. And that's happening this Saturday. If you want to come and witness or be witness to that in the ministry, that's another opportunity to minister to those individuals that serve in the organization and for the children of the county. So I just wanted to pass that along from Sheila. Because they don't often get attention for the things that they do try to do with their organization for the community.
Yeah. I kind of want to wrap this up by saying something. So there's all these opportunities that can be overwhelming. Everybody at Christmas, they're like, give to this, whatever. And so what I would suggest, and this is what Eddie and I do, we choose just one or two. It's not that we don't have a heart for all the places, but we choose one or two places that we are going to contribute to. And we make up our mind to that because it really can become overwhelming
100%.
At this time of the year. Especially if you're struggling yourself. You may be struggling yourself and you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't even ask. There's people who need it more than me or whatever. You can, like Stephen said, you can just leave that at the door.
Yeah.
And if you are struggling and an opportunity has come along and been made before you that you can receive help, take it. If you are in any position where you can give help, give it.
Yeah.
But don't let any of that kind of stress, because good stress is stress.
Yeah, don't let it affect your mental health.
Don't let it take away from the joy of the season. I mean, it's a magical time to be able to walk around places, to do things, to go on car rides. There's so many things, and we're going to be focusing on those things in the next 4 weeks. There's so many things you can do that cost nothing, but it helps make the holiday special and it helps bring that joy into your home or into your lives.
Speaking of holiday, have a happy Thanksgiving.
I will, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
And to all of you out there, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Be blessed.
Thanks for joining us on the Steve and Earlene Show. Just a final thought, our sponsors, Ray's Ford. We've got from Ray's Ford, if you just talk to Keith, he will help you with all your buying needs and to make sure that you get anything and everything that you need from their services are amazing. You can call them and schedule an appointment, and they will come and pick you up at your work, your vehicle, and take it in for the service. Phenomenal service after the sale. Ray's Ford. You can also link up with Joe Redmond for sponsoring this week's episode. You can call him at 270-668-2858 for all your landscaping needs. He also does some home improvements.
Yep.
So Joe Redmond is always available and willing to take on work. Thank you, Joe, for being a sponsor for the Earlene and Steve show. Earlene told me I couldn't do it, but I was going to do it. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I know it's so bad. I'm horrible.
Y'all have no idea.
And then our final sponsors are thank you to Terry Hoobry with Doe Valley Lakeside Bar and Grill for sponsoring this week's episode. You can call 270-422-3981 for catering information.
And they're going to be serving Thanksgiving meal too. So if you want to just go out for Thanksgiving, they're going to have a phenomenal tradition.
I wonder, can you order it and have it sent?
Oh, I'm sure.
So you just take it home and set the table.
Take it home and,
Oh, if you're like me and can burn a good turkey, you might want to. No, I'm just kidding. I actually make a good turkey.
He's bringing the turkey for tomorrow's.
Are you bringing a turkey?
You told me not to. I mean, I can.
No. I thought we were both doing it. It's all good. You'll love mine anyway. It's all dried out and everything.
I'm bringing a turkey, and we'll discuss it next week.
You've already got a turkey here. Look at me. I'm just kidding.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great time and enjoy your families for the holidays.
Have a great weekend. If you haven't put up your Christmas tree yet, this is a great time to do it.
This is the weekend I'm doing it, totally.
Me too. Yeah, we are too. So enjoy your Black Friday shopping. Go down to Christmas by the River and shop local as much as possible.
A-Town, peace out.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.